Good evening, class. My name is Stephanie Odell. The date is November 24th, 2019, and this is Fundamentals of Speech 1017. Has anyone ever noticed how men and women communicate differently? Well, after this speech, you will be able to identify the different words used in situations and tones used when speaking to other genders. Being a human being, I have to communicate with different people every day and have come to distinguish different ways of communication between men and women. My goal by the end of the speech is to help you guys understand and recognize those differences. In the article, Women Who Tell All and Men Who Ask, Perceptions of Men and Women Departing from Gender Stereotypes During Initial Interaction, posted by Sex Roles, written June 1996 by Elizabeth Lindsay and Walter Zakai, wrote, Men apparently are more interested in talking about themselves during initial interaction, while generally women engage in higher levels of disclosure than men. Research has shown constantly that men will self-disclose more to strangers and acquaintances than women. My main point that I'm going to bring up to you guys is communication differences and barriers, and the second one will be how this can help in your daily life. So, women are more sympathetic during situations such as like breaking up with somebody than men are, while men will use situations to connect with others, and women will be more willing to discuss the issues. Communication is important because it allows you to express your goals, ideas, thoughts, and concerns. It can't not much can't be achieved without communication. You can't really get far, whether it be with hand signals, your facial expressions, or just talking. You can't really do anything without using any of those. There's 4 types of communication. There's verbal, nonverbal, written, and visual. Verbal is when you use sounds, so what's going on here, I'm using my voice to get my point across to you guys. Nonverbal is using facial expressions. Written is text messages or emails, and then visual is like a sign or a drawing. So men and women view the purpose of conversations differently. A lot of it has to do with social roles in society. We view women more as the nurturer or more as the gentle type, and we view men more as the strong and rugged type. In an article, How Men and Women Differ, Gender Differences in Communication Styles Influence Tactics and Leadership Styles by Claremont Colleges, written on December 3rd, 2012, Karima Merchant wrote, the biggest differences between men and women and their styles of communication boils down to the fact that men and women view the purpose of conversations differently. So it just comes down to like what they value in each conversation. The second point that I want to bring up to you guys is how communication can help you in your daily lives. It can help you assist in a situation and how to handle it. So like if you're having a problem, communication helps you figure out how you're going to go about that situation and how to come to a solution for it. When it comes to women, they figure out how they're feeling when they're in a conversation, and men are looking more for a clear purpose. We also use it in our working lives, like if you're trying to get promoted and you're talking to your boss, you're going to want to communicate to him in a very professional manner and a very clear purpose of what you're trying to achieve. And then it also comes to when you're trying to promote a product or a brand, you really want to be able to communicate and get your point across of what you're trying to do. Really want to get your audience interested in that. And then in the article, 21 Eye-Opening Ways Men and Women Communicate Differently, written June 4th, 2015 by Arnold Snow, wrote that the more we are aware of all the differences, the more successful we will be in communicating to get our messages out in a clear and understanding manner, which is really important because if you're, even like in relationships, whether it be a romantic one or just a relationship in general, you really want to make sure that you're communicating correctly with that other person or people, because you don't want it to come off differently than you mean it to. I'm sure we've all been there, but you just want to make sure that your conversation and communication is clear and has a purpose. In conclusion, I hope this speech gave you some insight on this topic. I hope you guys use the tools that I spoke about in this speech when you're communicating with the different person or even the same gender, because just because it's the same gender doesn't mean that you'll know how to react to that person's conversation. So I hope that this speech gave you some insight and that you guys enjoyed it. Have a good night.